In local news, there are new developments in this weekend's officer-involved shooting. We're learning about Elias Ruiz, the man who died.
Turns out he was part of the Kids Unlimited program and known for being a big help around campus. News 10's Caitlin Conrad is here with more. Caitlin.
Elias Ruiz's family and friends say he was a nice kid who always went to church on Sundays. Now neighbors are debating whether police did the right thing 2 days ago.
Way wrongly handled.
Gary Kilmer lives in Medford, and he says what happened to Elias Ruiz was a result of excessive force.
Way overreaction of the department. They need to get a little more on ball of what's serious. Because somebody has got a knife in their hand doesn't mean they're going to get somebody.
But not everyone in Medford agrees with Kilmer.
What surprises me is how many people out there seem to have no respect for law enforcement. And even if a police officer tells you to stop, you stop immediately. And these people aren't doing that.
Marilyn Hayes says police did what they had to do.
When they defend themselves or try to protect themselves, they're just ripped to shreds by everybody out in the community.
But in the end, it's not up to neighbors. It's up to a grand jury to decide whether the shooting was justified.
The grand jury is 7 citizens who are selected at random to hear criminal matters, decide whether they should go forward so that we can get an indictment. In the officer-involved shootings, what they're doing is deciding whether or not, we know that a homicide has occurred, they're deciding whether or not the homicide was justified.
District Attorney David Hoppy says in some cases, officers need to use their weapons.
What we're presenting to the grand jury is the totality of information so they can decide whether or not the shootings were justified. They're looking at what the officer saw at that time and whether or not they were justified. Because they're law enforcement officers, in their course and scope of their duties, they have to meet lethal threats with lethal violence on occasion.
However, many are saying the nice kid they knew who donated his time at Kids Unlimited didn't need lethal force to be stopped.
He was a young kid. Was upset and it got way too carried away, and that's a bad thing to be happening in our city.
The DA's office says they think it will take a while to prepare before the case is presented to a grand jury. Covering your news, Caitlin Conrad, News 10.
Here's what's next in the case. Police are waiting for the results of tests performed on the officers' tasers. News 10 has learned 15% of the time tasers do not work. Meanwhile, autopsy results should be released soon. Oregon State Police continuing to investigate what happened. It could take weeks to hand over the investigation to the district attorney's office.